5 reasons why Liverpool will win the league, penned by Paul Machin. You kick off. Should we go in order of what you've written?
Yes. Klopp.
Isn't he? He is good.
He is amazing. He's a really, really good manager.
Did you ever doubt him?
Nope. No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
You couldn't really, could you?
No.
Did you? Maybe give me 3% of you doubted it.
No, the only thing I doubted was whether he'd just had enough. And that was during the COVID season more than anything else. I think he'd lost his mother during that time, and Liverpool lost like 6 consecutive home games with no reasoning to it. Players dropping like flies, and he just looked tired. And there was a rumour, because this is where we get our WhatsApp groups, is you get Liverpool fans and Evertonians doing really clever wind-up tactics that gets shared many times. There's normally some dodgy rumour, and it was like Klopp's left was one, and it was clearly started by a blue. The one we've got is the subpar concrete being used for Everton Stadium, and it's going to sink into the Mersey. Jurgen Klopp is the best in the business, and it just looks so excited by what he's got.
Can you feel a difference? Because I think with a lot of this, the question I could pose time and again is there's sort of the chicken and egg of, well, is the team doing better, so that's why that person's doing better, or vice versa. I think the thing with Klopp back in last year, it seemed very clear that the problem was the midfield, but it felt then like there needed to be some sort of tweak in the overall style, maybe the same principles, but there needed to be a change.
Yeah,
and he has done it.
Well, just a freshness in general, because the midfield was it, but there was a lot of just mental and physical fatigue around the squad in general as well. They pressed for so hard for so long,
and you were so dependent. Like, again, people would think it might be a lazy thing, but you were incredibly dependent on that front three. Mm-hmm. And in terms of goals, Mane and Salah. Now, Salah is a robot. So he seems to just not. Why he never gets injured?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that with plastic coated tables?
No, it's
It'd be fun.
Yeah. But the midfield didn't contribute in that way, and the contribution is different now, isn't it?
No, but the midfield was the foundations of that. So when you front three starting to age a little bit, and maybe they haven't got that extra spring in the step, and we did that front three lost a yard of pace, and all of a sudden Firmino's injury record just started to turn a corner a little bit, so it wasn't functioning in the same way. And then the legs, the engine room was falling apart behind it. And then in addition to that, you just had Van Dijk had come back from a long-term injury and then gone a bit too hard that season. He was badly overplayed. And they really felt the effects. And last season with the World Cup in the middle of it, you had a bunch of players who you're then tired, physically, mentally tired. You've gone as close to immortality as you're going to get and fallen short. And then all of a sudden your focus is going, particularly Van Dijk, who missed the Euros because he chose not to go to the Euros to finish his rehabilitation to be ready for Liverpool. That was a sacrifice he made. There's a World Cup coming up and it's like, I'm not missing the World Cup. And so you see it, do players just leave a little bit in the tank here and there? Yeah. Combined factors. But Klopp looks like he's just enjoying the process again. He's one of them where I think he likes the struggle. I think he likes to look at something. And my analogy is a bit like, I don't like cleaning the house when it looks clean. I like cleaning it when it looks dirty so I can feel the satisfaction of having put the elbow grease in for it. Yeah. Maintenance is not as fun. When you reach a manager stage, in Champman, footy manager parlance, where you just click and continue, play a game, continue, make a sub here and there. It's boring.
Yeah.
And I don't think Klopp likes that, but he looks like he's got his hands into it as well.
Right, second one,
Virgil van Dijk, back to his best. Tales of Virgil van Dijk's demise have been greatly exaggerated, and I think you have this when you get to the top, is that everyone's desperate to have the hot take of, oh, he's done, he's finished, wind it up, stick a fork in him. Nah. He, as another one, looks fit, looks fresh, looks reinvigorated. The captain, I was a little concerned at giving him the armband, I'll be honest.
Really?
Because I've come through the Gerrard era of captaincy, and I think he's a more Gerrard-like, and not in the same way, because Gerrard obviously was at his peak was every blade of grass. He was like Beckham for England. He'd do everything superhero captaincy. But really, what he was the best player. And you got a lot of withering glances from Steven Gerrard. Whereas I've then followed that up with the Jordan Henderson era, who is he'll scream at you if you do something wrong. He'll shout at you, but he'll also get his arm round you. If you then go and do the right thing the next time, he'll let you know that you've done that. He was a perfect, if you had to write what a captain's roles and responsibilities are.
And because he's not the best player, it's about the team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm always worried when you put one of your best players as captain. Is basically the point on that. However, he has just risen to it, and I think a little bit of we're resting and rotating him. He's played something and this actually. I haven't got the exact numbers off the top of my head because they've changed since I last looked at it. But there was a point around the Christmas period where I think he played something like 600 minutes less than Saliba. That is a huge amount of football difference. And that's your two best centre-halves, probably the two best centre-halves in the league. Diaz in there as well. And Van Dijk has played significantly less football than both of those guys because we've been able to use him more sparingly, and that's going to have a telling impact.
He's still great, still back to his best. Is he different? Or do you think he is that same guy?
No, I think he's that same guy. I think he's... no. Actually, no, I will expand on that a touch. I think he engages more. I think he was the archetypal, sort of heavyweight champion who's reached the top and he's got no one to sort of touch him. And then all of a sudden, someone comes along who has sort of tested them and you've actually got a choice. Am I done? Or am I prepared to fight for what I've got to maintain my position at the top of the hill? And I think last season was too many people went, oh, go on, I'll just have a go, and actually got change out of him. It started first game of the season, Mitrovic gets a penalty out of him. Yeah. I think a lot of people went, oh, whereas the season, whether it was that season or the season before, we played Inter Milan in the Champions League, and Lautaro Martinez ran away from him.
That's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
He refused to run towards the goal because Van Dijk was there, and he ran off instead. So, and that was that's aura. Yeah. And I think he's realised that he has to rebuild that aura. So actually, he's testing himself. He's being more physical. He's getting into tackles that he wasn't getting into, but he's winning them because he is better than everyone.
And you can just tell he's got an outrageous mindset, which can, I think, say with the Gerrard element, it can make players crumble, but if the players around you are good enough, then you should be. So
when I say he's not changed, what I in my head that was a bit more of how an attacking player loses their pace, so they adapt their game. I don't think he's lost anything.
So you don't think he's changing his game at all?
I mean, he's changing. He is changing his game. He's actually using his attributes more than he had to. Never used to have to run, or he never used to really have to tackle or be the physical one. But now I think he's being more. He's just flexing more. So he is changing his game, but in the opposite way to what you're meant to do when you're supposedly in a fading power, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Last one on Van Dijk. Do you think if someone like Endo, is that part of why we were all wondering if he'd lost his way, was how bad Fabinho was last year?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. A lack of shielding in front of the defence, definitely. And it's just a thing where collectivism's how Liverpool have built their success. Andy Robertson touched upon it last season when he kind of said, what's meant to happen is if you're struggling, your mate's meant to come and bail you out. Well, my mate's not bailing me out here because he's struggling, and then he's struggling. And then what happens is the ones who aren't struggling, then it's a creeping death. It's like you look around and go, well, your motivation to play through the pain starts to lower when it doesn't look like anyone else around you's doing the same thing. So I think it's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Your third reason why Liverpool will win the league?
So I went with Alisson.
Should we move on?
Best goalie in the world.
So I was going to get to this, but we can kind of do it now. Yeah, I want to talk about sort of players that you can't kind of live without. And someone said, Max said, given how many injuries have happened this season, I'd say that if someone like Ederson or Alisson is injured for a couple of months, that could decide the title. Would you? Obviously, I think likes of Alisson and Salah and Trent and suppose you've got a lot of those guys, but do you think there's no way you can win a title without Alisson in the team? What makes him such a difference maker for you?
We talked about it with Van Dijk. Order's just a huge thing in certain positions in football, and There was a lot of talk in the FA Cup game against Arsenal, and there were people very critical of Arsenal's finishing in that situation. And part of that is because they haven't got predators, but the other part is when you're then not a predator, and then I think you overthink the situation you're in, and then you're looking at Alisson Becker and going, I've got to be perfect here to score against this guy. So David De Gea had this in his prime, many moons ago, and Liverpool used to have this issue with him. He used to have brilliant games against us, and you had this sense of, if I'm scoring against him, it's going to have to be in the top corner. We're talking shave the paintwork to get in, to have a chance of getting past them. So instead of, I've just got to get my shots on target, you're actually not. You're aiming for the postage stamp in the corners of the goal all of a sudden. And when you're not truly elite, that's not something that comes as natural to you, so you do think about it, and that thinking about it takes half a step away from you, gives the defenders time to compensate, etc. Alisson's not that Hollywood goalkeeper. He's not going to pull as many of your match of the day style saves off, but a lot of stuff hits the trunking of him because ultimately
he's already there.
Well, yeah, he's there. Adam Ramsdale is the best recent example of this. Jordan Pickford's got it a bit as well. He'll pull something out of the top corner and he'll tip it over. Alisson will just take 2 steps across and catch it, and that's what he's got. And he's also at that age now where perfect blend, where he's still got years left at the top, but he's been at the top for so long, and that extra experience that comes with I've been there and I've done it really adds something to a goalkeeper. He's the best in the business.
And again, that's why I kind of keep coming back to Liverpool as truly having a chance at winning the league, because although you've got guys that have kind of done it, but they've not done it on the terms that they've totally liked, but they're also not afraid of going and winning it. And also, they probably have a heightened energy to go and do it as well, to go and win it in front of their own fans.
Yeah, 100% that. But also, they've been there and done it, but they're also not. They're not been there and done. You can have teams players in certain teams. I look at like Liverpool in the 90s. So you get to like 93, 94, a few years after a title, Bruce Grobbelaar's just about to leave. They've got Jan Molby, they've got Ronnie Wheeler. This is one for the kids, by the way.
You've got your history, guys.
You've got Ian Rush. But none of them are at the peak of their powers, and that's the thing. Whereas Liverpool have got Alisson, who is, he's still got years at that in that kind of role. Van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, guys who not just know how to do it, but have the ability to actually go and make it happen again.
The final reason that you've got here is the start of prime Trent.
It's second to last.
Sorry, fourth.
Come on.
I didn't realise you got another one.
Come on.
Sorry.
I could do 10. Second to last for now. The start of prime Trent. Obviously, the ongoing, is he a right back, is he a midfielder? For me, huge shrug. Who cares? As long as he plays on the pitch and he plays well, he can play wherever he wants and wherever Klopp wants him to play. He is 25. That's the age now where Gerrard was going to Champions League final, Istanbul, and being the best player on the pitch in a pitch half littered full of superstars, all of whom were playing for AC Milan at the time. The levels that lad is capable of are absolutely astounding. And I remember saying 3 or 4 years ago, if he just stayed where he was and stayed at the level he was at, he'd be the best right back ever to play the game because of the numbers he was doing, and the games he played in and the telling impact in the big football matches. And there's obviously that tiresome narrative of Trent's defensive abilities, which always gets sort of, it's like, what are you trying to prove? You know what I mean? If you really want to pick a footballer, and every footballer is imperfect, find something they're not great at, and if you solely look out for that, you are going to find loads of ammunition to back up your take that someone's not right. But now he's just grabbing games more, and he's actually facilitated in how we use him more to do that. We had a real struggle in the COVID season when we played the Merseyside derby and Jordan Henderson was playing centre-half in that and got injured. So there you go. Even our backup centre-halves were done at that point. And Trent was just the last one standing, and he's trying to grab the game, but he's still predominantly a right-back. He just couldn't get into areas of the pitch to really make it happen for us. And now we're like, right, let's shuffle the pack. Let's see if we can get him into tell him areas of the pitch, and he does.
I think that's exactly that's the most crucial point when it comes to him doing what he wants to do is where can you get him on the ball in the areas of the pitch that you would like him to have it. And so you are seeing him more central. You are seeing him outside the box a lot of the time because, of course, it'd be great to put crosses in and he'll do that at times. But and we spoke about it earlier. I do see a difference in him. Like, he feels like an adult now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing here. And also the style of play that's changed. I think if they're playing the way that he played before, there's kind of not that space in that midfield for him to go and be in those areas. And he is. And I think it's one where I've been thinking about the sort of the England team, and there will have to be changes made there because you have to get him in the team. He has to play for England.
Yeah, I agree. But I like England gets forgotten about sometimes. England aren't as good as a top of the Premier League team, so you can put Trent just in midfield for England.
Yeah.
It's the reason why we used to have this. People go to me, Gini Van Alden, he's playing in a 10 for Holland, he's scoring goals. Like, yeah, but like he's not good enough to play in a 10 for Liverpool. That's why he plays central midfield. That's what happens. Trent is more than good enough to play in midfield for England against almost every team they're going to come up against.
I also think it's who have you got around you? I think that's the thing for Trent. The one critique that I've had consistently, to be fair, it just came from that Man City game, but the point is that Man City game is the highest level that he will play. So if he's looking to get to those levels, he has to excel in those games. And he, for whatever reason, either the centre-back didn't want to give him the ball or he wasn't in the right position to receive the ball regularly in that game. And actually, he was far more effective in the second half when he went back over to kind of that right-hand side. So I'm intrigued to see what levels he can get to when he does out-and-out play as a midfielder. But if you're playing for England and Declan Rice is doing that bit, you can just continue to stay on that right-hand side as part of that three with Bellingham in there as well. And then he just gets to do the bits he loves to do. And that's amazing. Sorry, last one then. This is good. I'm pleased you brought this one up. We've got a video on this one as well on the JLA channel as well, which I said bloody ages ago. Go on, Paul. Tell it.
Attacking depth. So this is the difference between Liverpool and everyone else in the Premier League. So there was always a sense with Liverpool's front three, the classic front three of Mane, Firmino, Salah, that all three of them could get you. But the problem is that when you then needed to go deep in a game, maybe someone's injured or, it's fatigue starting to bite, what are you bringing into that situation? And Liverpool's answer for a time was Sturridge, who was obviously well past his best by that point. And then the answer became Divock Origi, who was an absolute cult hero, cult legend for the football club. But you then couldn't start him in games and expect him to keep the level. You were undercutting what you do. Liverpool brought in Diogo Jota, and all of a sudden they had the ability to take Sadio Mane off on 60 minutes and bring in a guy who was just as likely to score in his place. They've still got Diogo Jota, but now they've got Cody Gakpo and they've got Darwin Núñez in the mix as well. And Liverpool have just got loads of different ways to beat you.
That's it. It's the different profiles that you have of those guys as well, which I think is massive. I love Harvey Elliott as well as a player who obviously can play in loads of different areas. Be interesting to see if Carvalho comes back and gets involved. There might not be enough space there.
I don't think he will. It looks like he's just going to go back out on loan. But I was interested to see whether they would keep him around for that, just for the rest of the month and see how that goes. But Hull looks likely for him. But I'd like to give him a couple of games and just see if he could, give him another chance. Good player.
But I think teams are so much smarter than they've ever been out of possession as well, and I think that means that you need different ways to change it. And when you change it, you have to change it, and that's what Klopp has got here. Whereas with Man City, those changes aren't as different, and whereas you can go from playing 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1 to 4-2-4 to playing 4-2-2-2. You can do all of those different things. And Núñez, those three that you said there, Núñez, Jota and Gakpo, so different.
Yes.
So different.
Well, yeah, think about all of them. All of them have played the 9 for us. So you've got Darwin Núñez, who is the closest thing to like a complete centre forward without being anywhere near complete also at the same time. But he's just a nightmare to play against. He's strong, he's powerful, he's so fast. He just wants to upset you, wants to get in your face. He can play on the shoulder, he can get in behind. So if you get that wrong, he's in. He's, he turns up in the right areas at the right time. Okay, his finishing's been, profligate at best, but...
So these are the two things I've got. So Josh said Darwin Núñez could be the difference. If he clicks and does what he's capable of, Liverpool win it with ease, and he ends the season with 20+ goals. If he continues to miss important chances, then I fear City take advantage and take it. Is it that? severe?
No, I don't think so. Because it's interesting.
Can he click?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he can. I've seen a lot of like him, those banterous names for him, but he reminds me a bit of Andy Cole. Andrew Cole, apologies, and a bit.
Is he still funny about that?
Best to be careful. And a bit of Emil Heskey as well. In some was a second Emil reference on the podcast, but because what Darwin's doing now, and with the Heskey comparisons, is he's setting goals up. So like he's playing Saladin.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So everyone's going, he's number 9, he's taking that number 9 shit. Like everyone's obsessed with the idea that he's taking number 9. And I get it. It's a lot of money. He's leading the line for Liverpool. But look at the goal returns from the other top teams. City have got Haaland and they've got then Foden and Alvarez are chipping in and they're doing quite well. But they're not, neither of those right now is got 15 to 20 goals. They haven't. Liverpool have got a very similar sort of spread in where their goals are coming from. Now, obviously, no Salah for AFCON will tank this a little bit, but at the moment, you don't need that. It's better to have, as long as you've got your one guy and then you've got a bunch of other guys who are kind of contributing to a level, that's so far so good. So I don't think it's all on him clicking. I think people are getting a little obsessive about that because, look, as long as Liverpool are winning, it kind of doesn't really matter. And with Jota there, who will... because he's a predator. He's a stone cold killer in the box. Sure. You've got guys who can do that, and then of course like Cody Gakpo, who's just a sensational footballer to come in as well. So yeah, I get what people are saying with the Darwin thing, but I don't think it's as pressing a problem as maybe people make out. Can I give you a one random one?
Go on.
A truly random one.
Joe, we've got other stuff here, but I'm gonna stop it after this one, guys. So yeah, go for it.
If Liverpool. Okay, I'm doing it. A Joe Gomez goal is going to play a pivotal part in Liverpool winning a title this season. I am convinced of this more than I've been convinced of anything in my life before. He has yet to score a professional goal. Yeah. He's never scored for us.
Close recently, didn't he?
He's getting
with it.
James, he's getting closer.
So close, guys.
Getting closer. And the conversations are happening are like, what would you want it to be? And it's most likely just going to be a scuffer in like a 4-0. But I don't come this far, Joe, and have it be that. It needs to be an absolute thunderbastard off the bar. Vincent Kompany, kind of like 18, 19.
I would love to see that.
I would give anything for that to be the moment. But I just, in terms of like what might be a mad deciding factor in Liverpool being that, a Joe Gomez goal.
Amazing. Are we near the sort of Hibbert region where everyone's on the pitch?
He's not. Yeah, I mean, if it's that goal, there's nothing going to stop me from getting onto. There's no amount of stewarding.
You're at the back.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be some run, but I might fly. To be honest, if that actually happens, I will crowd surf down the Kop to get there if that happens.